Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Joel Freeman and you're watching Wholehearted. Thank you very much for joining, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you all what's in my bag and what's going to be in my bag heading into the 2023 season. First and foremost, huge shout out and thank you to Pound Disc Golf. For the first time ever in 2023, I will be representing the best disc golf bag company in the industry. I don't hear anybody making an argument against Pound being number one. They're the best bags on the market. No question about it. If any of you have ever owned one, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, the day you get your first is the day you never go back to anything else. I'm gonna get into way more detail about what is so amazing about Pound bags in my next video. I'm gonna be doing a full breakdown and bag review, but today it's more about what's in the bag. All right, so many of you will remember my in the bag from 2 years ago. I think I have a pretty unique way of kind of breaking down how to build a bag and how to select kind of what's in my bag, what tools I carry with me, so to speak. And so this video, I'm going to be doing a very similar breakdown. I did kind of expand and adjust the chart this time around, so it's a little bit of a different spin on it, but same idea. When looking at a player's lineup and how to build a player's bag, I see 15 slots that could or should be filled. 5 speed categories, which are putter, mid-range, fairway driver, control driver, distance driver. And then within those 5 speeds, we've got one that goes left, one that goes straight, and one that goes right. So overstable, straight, understable. That's the general idea that we're basing this whole video off of. I'm gonna run through my bag, show you guys all the discs that I carry, and then we're gonna take a close look at the chart so that I can give you guys a solid kind of visual representation of the purpose behind each and every disc that I've got in here. Before I forget, I will mention that I putt with the Nexus Zero. This is a super straight beaded putter. The Nexus plastic is just the perfect plastic for a putter, in my opinion. It's firm, it's rigid, but it also has a little bit of extra kind of grip, a little bit of tackiness to it. I can't give many details now, but I may be switching soon. There's a high potential that I will be using a little bit of a different putter in the near future. More on that later. So getting right into the distance driver category, these are the ones that'll go the farthest, and I'm actually going to expand upon the 15 disc model that I just explained. I think that makes sense for most players. Once you get kind of that really high arm speed and more to the professional level, those margins widen, and so you have more slots to fill. And so I'm actually going to be looking at things from a 5 disc perspective. So I'm going to go overstable, extreme overstable on one side, and then I'm going to go understable, extreme understable on the other side. So I go all the way from extreme on both ends to straight in the middle. You get the point. So in the extreme overstable high speed category is the Luster Destroyer. The next most overstable is a Star Destroyer. It's just nice chartreuse color, kind of a new one. This one is a pretty old Star Destroyer. This is in the high speed straight category. In the high speed understable is another Star Destroyer. So these three complement each other really nicely. This teal one will turn more for sure. And then the extreme understable high speed category is the Glow Sea Blend Metal Flake Pharaoh. So this thing goes really far, but it's very understable. This one works really nice in the woods. Love the Metal Flake Pharaoh. So again, at those high speeds and far distances, I've found that the margins get wider. And so I like having options to really fill the in-betweens of each one. So the faster the disc, the more in-betweens I have. So if 1 is understable and 5 is overstable, my 1.5 is this right here. This is a Luster Destroyer. My 2.5 would be this Star Destroyer. Shout out to my friend David in Minnesota. Then my 3.5 would be this right here. This is a Star Destroyer, and shout out to Edgar Cercinis for dyeing that one. And then this one's kind of special. This is straight out of Paul Macbeth's bag. So thanks very much, Paul. And this is in my 4.5 category, if you will. So just half a step below my most overstable destroyer is this pink one right here. Moving on to the control driver category, my most understable, extreme understable, is my Star Sidewinder. This thing is really beat up, great for rollers and wooded shots. This one is awesome. This one I've had in the bag for a while now. Shout out to Gavin Rathbun who gave me this one. This is a Champion Thunderbird, and essentially I explain it like a Sidewinder that stopped beating in 2 years ago. So this is the understable control driver that I carry. Then the Champion Savant. The Savant is one of my favorite molds. It's one of my highest recommended molds. And so yeah, the Savant flies really nice. If you haven't tried one, do it. This is my straight control driver category slot. This one is a Halo Scepter, very similar to a Firebird, and this is my overstable control driver. For the extreme overstable control driver slot, this is a flat Metal Flake Champion Firebird. So shout out to Ian Burchett for trading me that one. I do have a couple in-betweens in the control driver category, but not as many, because again, the faster the disc gets, the more those variables kind of spread. And so kind of in between my straight and my understable. So this is mostly straight, but a little bit understable. And this is also a Halo Savant. And then this one is in between my straight and overstable. So this is just a little bit overstable, and this is a Star Thunderbird. All right, for mid-ranges, in the extreme overstable category, I've got a really special disc. This is the Scott Withers Champion Glow Gator, and I don't know which year, maybe 2017 edition, but this is the most overstable mid-range that Innova has ever manufactured. It is amazing. In the overstable, I have this Champion Joel Freeman Gator 3. Thank you to Lore Dyes for doing this dye job for me. In the straight category, this is a very special disc, and I don't think I'll get in trouble for saying this. These are about to release. They're unreleased, but they're coming out, I think, in the next maybe couple weeks or something. So keep an eye out for them. This is the new, brand new Joel Freeman Sea Blend Glow Metal Flake Chariot. So the Chariot has never been put out in Glow Metal Flake before, and boy, did these come out nice. They're very flat. They've got like a little bit of like grip to them, which is really cool. And they fly like an absolute dream. So I've been loving these new Joel Freeman Glow Sea Blend Metal Flake Chariots. The Chariot is amazing. It's just got a really clean feel in the hand, a really nice straight flight. And so keep an eye out for these and get your hands on one. This will not disappoint. So that is an awesome disc. And then I've got in the understable mid-range category is another Chariot. This one's just older, Glow Sea Blend Chariot here, kind of beat up and nice and understable. Now I've only got 4 because in that extreme understable mid-range category, I just haven't found that is an important slot for me to fill. I do have the extreme understable putter, and so sometimes that works for that shot, but more often than not, I'll be able to get the job done with a forehand. And so we're gonna be talking all about forehands in a couple minutes. But yeah, don't have the extreme understable mid-range slot, so that's kind of a blank spot for me. Now, as I said, we'll be talking about forehands in a minute, but these are actually 2 discs that I rarely throw backhand. I used to cringe whenever I'd hear people say that, because I don't think you should ever be afraid of throwing every disc in your bag, forehand and backhand. I recommend doing that. But for some reason, if I'm being honest, I just don't really throw this one particularly backhand very often at all, but I throw it forehand all the time. This is my favorite disc in my bag. This is a Glow Champion Joel Freeman Gator 3, and shout out to DeLong Dyes for doing this awesome like rainbow job for me. This one is basically the flight of a Chariot. Like, it's pretty straight, but it's got the torque resistance, can handle wind or a forehand or whatever like a Gator. And so it's just this total cheater disc. Somehow it's in this amazing spot where it's like straight to understable, but so much more reliable than it really should be. So this is an amazing, really special disc right here. And I just don't really throw it backhand very often. All right, and that brings us to the putters. In the extreme understable category, I have a D-Line P1X. I've just been beating this one up as much as I can. The bead is completely gone, if you can tell. Yeah, it's just very understable, and I really like throwing rollers with this actually, but great for just like short little upshots and scrambling and all that good stuff. On the slightly understable, I will actually use my putting putter. So the Nexus 0 is a nice like straight to slightly understable putter, especially once it beats in a little bit. So love throwing that one. And then of course, the Champion Glow Joel Freeman Whale. I think this is the oldest disc in my bag. And it started off hot pink and overstable. Now it is, you know, completely sun faded and is very, very straight. It's just dead bullet straight. So this is a really useful tool. This is my baby right here. This one's been with me for a long time, and yeah, got a lot of love for this whale here. Real quick, before we do the full detailed breakdown, I'll run you guys through kind of some of the other stuff that's in my bag. I've got chapstick, I got a couple spare minis. I've actually got a mosquito head net because I've been caught in some really bad situations with mosquitoes and really wished I had one of those. So now I just always keep one on me. I've got a neck gaiter. I always love having one of these on me. I've got the REVASRI Rangefinder. If you guys have never checked out REVASRI Rangefinders, if I can remember, I'll put the link in the description of this video. But this is a really nice rangefinder. Best rangefinder on the market if you're asking me. We've got Sharpies, some pencils. I've got a Rainfly. I don't want to pull it out. Got this nice disc retriever from Infinite Discs. And then I've got over here in the side pocket, I've got my towel. That one sits in this nice compartment right next to my water bottle. And then right here, oh yeah, this is important. Got my bag of dirt. I guess I'm an all natural kind of guy. This is just some dirt that I picked up off the ground one day. And I keep this little like bead birdie bag in there to kind of pick up the dirt, but that's just I don't know, that's the setup that's been working best for me. I've been using it for years and loving it. I've tried a couple of the like synthetic blends and stuff, and I don't know, I'm just not into it. I just like straight up dirt. All right, I've got this 3D printed mini, so shout out to Joe Revere for creating this for me. That's kind of fun to have around. And then I think the last thing in here is just the bladder. So like there's like a camelback, like a water pouch that I can fill up in here. And then with the arm strap comes the hose. And so I can just kind of sip whenever I need to. I think I'll only use that on like particularly long or like hot or dry rounds. I think I'll usually just use my regular water bottle, but it's really nice to have that in there as an option. Oh, I knew I was forgetting something. I got my Double G jerky right here. And then I've also got this emery cloth, I think is what it's called. This stuff is so awesome for being able to kind of like sand down little like rough edges. If your disc gets scuffed up, I just pull this thing out, scrub, no big deal, and it is gone and I'm ready to rumble. So never go anywhere without this thing. Very useful, very helpful. All right, I think that's it for this first part. Hope you guys enjoy the chart breakdown. Let's get into it. All right, this is my bag. I've drawn this out to represent where most of the discs in my bag would land if I were to kind of stand right in the middle of this page, kind of down here at the bottom, and throw a bunch of backhands out into a field. This is more or less where they would go. I forgot to comment about this earlier, that I do have a couple slots here missing in like the overstable putter category. I've messed around with a couple discs that would kind of like fill this spot, but basically I've found that all my short range overstable needs are pretty much covered by my Gator 3s and my Scott Withers Gator. Another huge thing that I failed to mention earlier is just that I don't carry any fairway drivers. I've just found that I can either kind of power up on my mid-ranges a little bit more or power down on my control drivers. Something a little odd and unique about my bag, but I've just found myself in a sweet spot and feel like that has been working really well for me over the last couple of years. So that's how I do it. All right, so now let's take a look at the forehand side. This is more or less what things would look like if I was throwing a forehand. And so as you'll notice, this kind of weird slot right here, this is kind of my low arm speed slot. So this one, when I throw it a little bit harder, will kind of go here. If I throw it softer, it'll kind of fill this shorter kind of understable category. I've just found that I can kind of cover each of these slots by manipulating my arm speed. Another really interesting thing that you'll notice is I actually will probably throw my Gator 3 farther than my Chariot. I really just don't throw this disc forehand very often. That's another kind of weird clash with my Glow Champion Joel Freeman Gator 3. That's my favorite disc in my bag. This is the one that's about to come out. But it's kind of odd that the Gator would go farther than the Chariot. Backhand, that's not the case. It's the other way around. But forehand, I can't put as much power behind it. Since the Gator can handle more torque, I'm able to actually use it at farther distances with the forehand. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic there. You'll also notice since I don't have quite as much arm speed, the putters kind of move a slot over. The whale is like a little bit overstable on the forehand. The zero is pretty straight. The P1X is understable, and all the rest of these are pretty much in the same category. They just don't quite go as far. My forehand maxes out around, I don't know, a little short of 450, whereas my backhand will go a little ways over 500. All right, and then in this section, I have my recommendation for how an amateur might build their bag if this person is trying to kind of push their game to the next level. This is with the mindset of making improvements. If you're more of a casual player, throw whatever discs you want, who cares? But if you're really trying to improve and get the most out of your abilities and stretch your abilities to the next level, this is kind of what I would recommend. I see a lot of amateur players throwing way too many different discs, and especially way too many high speed discs. You'll notice that the fastest disc here is the Wraith at an 11 speed. I personally, if you're trying to improve your game, I don't really see the value in throwing anything more than an 11 speed driver until you can throw, I don't know, 400, I would say over 400 feet comfortably and consistently with kind of like a 9, 10, 11 speed driver. Then maybe start trying some of those 12, 13 speeds, because then you'll know how to handle it better by that point. But more or less, this is kind of what I recommend, how I recommend an amateur player building their bag. I don't personally believe that you need any more than 12 discs in your bag. If you do, it would only be to carry a copy of something in case you want to throw multiple shots at once. And then the other thing I'll comment on here is kind of the multiple molds within the same category thing that I've got going on here. This is just preference. Some people are going to prefer the feel of a bead. Some people are going to prefer the feel of that kind of cleaner, more straightforward rim. And so on top, I have the Cayman, Foxbat, AVRs to fill these categories, as opposed to the Gator 3, Wombat 3, and the Zero. Those are kind of like your beaded options that'll kind of do the same thing. For the AVR 0 category here and here, I just recommend that you have kind of a newer one here and then beat one up so that you can fill your understable short range category as well. There's going to be a really nice new run of these coming out soon, so keep your eyes out for that so you can fill that slot in your bag. This is all you need. You don't need 20 or 30 discs or whatever in your bag. And just to drive that point home, in this last section of the chart, this is my bag about 2 years into my disc golf experience. 2 years into playing disc golf, this was pretty much how I handled every course that I ever went to. I just carried 2 discs with me, an AVR and a Boss. I think it was maybe a Star Boss and a DX AVR. My AVR would take care of all of this. My boss would take care of all of that. I think this is partially what enabled me to get really good really fast, was just this simplified bag. This really taught me to manipulate my angles, to make these discs do whatever I needed them to do. And this is the point of this, is just to show you really don't need a million different discs unless you're kind of more at that professional level and you can actually tell the differences, and each disc is actually doing a different job. More than likely, you could take care of almost every course that you ever went to with 2 or 3 discs. It's pretty rare that you're going to encounter a course that's well designed enough to really need all those different options. I kind of just made this chart for fun, just because I thought it'd be fun to look at, and some of you I hope would just get a kick out of it. But I essentially became 1000 rated just with 2 discs. So there it is. That is everything that's in my bag heading into the 2023 season, as well as a couple little kind of teaser, spoiler kind of bits for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching. And with that, it is giveaway time. For last week's giveaway, I asked you all to answer this riddle. What do you call it when a disc golfer gets stressed out by good course design? Nobody was able to come up with the right answer, and so I drew a random winner. The winner is Lord Awesome. So, Lord Awesome, you will be hearing from me shortly. You are this week's giveaway winner. For any of you who are curious, the correct answer I was looking for was separation anxiety. Oh, that's a knee slapper if I ever heard one. In order to enter this week's giveaway, I need you all to get down in the comments and tell me what is the most unique disc in your bag. That's all I've got for you this time. Thanks again for joining. Thank you for all the love and support. I appreciate it very much. I'm Joel Freeman. You're watching Wholehearted, and we will see you next time.